So thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks, man.
No worries. Who is Pierre Ishak?
I'm a Sydney-based guitar player. I played in heaps of different bands since I was 18, since I left school when I was at uni. And I just a session guy now. Like I just freelance and I play with whoever wants to hire me. So I do all sorts of things, from rock gigs to just weddings. I do quite a bit of weddings now. I do acoustic stuff. So just whatever I get hired to play in whatever style, I try to be as versatile as possible to get the gigs.
So did you have any inspirations to be a guitar player? Like, was there someone out there who be like, I just want to be a guitar player now and just want to be like who you want to be?
When I was like, I think 6 or 7 years old, I heard Elvis. My sister had an Elvis CD, and I didn't know what he looked like, but I remember loving the music and like listening to this CD she had, and like it was it. Like, and then when I saw what he looked like. I was just blown away because of his charisma and just everything. I just wanted to be like Elvis. Even as a little kid, I used to brush my hair the same. And when I was in like primary school, the kids used to call me Elvis.
Oh, right.
Elvis was a huge influence on music. Not so much like guitar playing, but just love getting into music. Then I got into the Beatles. I loved like Roy Orbison and things like that. In that era.
That's a great line of music to start from.
Yeah.
But like for you to pick up a guitar, who did you see that was shredding guitar? Be like, I just want to shred like this guy.
It was actually the guitarists, the two main guitarists Elvis had. First, Scotty Moore, who was in the 50s.
Oh yeah.
I just loved the sound, and it really complemented Elvis. And I've always wanted, even now when I play gigs, I don't want to be the main guy. I like backing up like a good singer, or just have a really, really hot band. Just sit back with it. Although I play lead most of the time, but most of the time really I'm playing rhythm, and I like backing up people than being like a solo. That's why when people ask me to do a solo, I have to do a solo live, and guys joke around about me not wanting to do solos because I'm playing solos in almost every song, but I actually just love playing in a band situation. And then just me showing off. So but I got that more like from Elvis's band, like Scotty Moore in the 50s and James Burton in the 70s. The first solo I ever learned was an Elvis song, a James Burton solo. What's the song called? The one that goes, "I've never been to heaven." It's a song I did in the 70s, but it was something that it was just the tone of his guitar, and it wasn't so difficult to play, but it was very tasty. So those guys influenced me, although my playing isn't like them at all. But I really appreciate their style of playing. But yeah, my guitar influences progressed to a completely different style, but it was them who got me into music. And I still love that stuff. I listen to that stuff more than I do the music I actually play. Although, it was just, I just can't get away from it.
Yeah, Elvis and all that were called the Kings for a reason, because they started the sound. And then as years went by, other people like Hendrix and Jimmy Page just ripped it. Distortion came involved.
Yeah.
And then when you came to 80s and 90s, it was like heavy metal bands. And obviously that you've been in heavy metal bands before. So is there anyone in heavy metal who you've inspired to actually, I'm going to project my playing style?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. When I was in, I think it was in year 10, my brother had the Black Album, Metallica Black Album, and he used to play it. And I think he was listening to the Black Album at the time, and a live, the band Live, the Throwing Copper album. And I remember he was listening to the Black Album, and I kept on saying, "Oh, what's that stuff?" Because I was still into the earlier rock music.
Yeah.
And I remember just getting familiar with some of the songs that he was always blasting out, and then I really gravitated to the heavier stuff. I really got into it, and then I think I was in year 10. I think it was in year 10 where my dad, I had an old acoustic guitar. The strings were like that high. My dad got me when I was into the Elvis stuff, I think right after, I think in primary school. I didn't know how to play anything, but I used to muck around with it. But it was in year 10. that my dad bought me just a startup electric guitar, little shoebox amp, like a $200 or $300 package, just a beginner package. And I was supposed to get guitar lessons, it never happened. But my brother was gonna buy me the tablature for either the Black Album or the Thrower Copper album by Live. And he told me choose which one you want. And you know, the plan was I was supposed to get guitar lessons and start learning the stuff. And I could have either gone like the Live sort of, you know, rock stuff, or the more heavier stuff. And I chose, I want the Black Album.
Yeah.
Because it seemed more interesting for guitar. So I would say like getting into that, like Hetfield, Hammett were like the perfect combination for the type of music I was getting into.
Wow.
So for you guys that are just tuning in, we're here on West Underground, and a man that's kind of, you know, been quite involved and active within the music scene. Tonight on West Underground, we have none other than Paul Ishak, who, amongst many things, has introduced and done pre-shows for bands the likes of Foo Fighters, Kiss, amongst others. We're here talking about his origin story and what makes him a musician, what makes him tick. His story. We're here with Hamish, Paul, and of course Pierre himself. We're going to delve a little bit more into what makes his music story interesting. And thanks for being here.
Thanks,
and
man.
Look forward to some of the nuggets of wisdoms you can share on this podcast. Welcome.
Yeah, cheers, man.
So other than that, Pierre, like when you you know, we're talking about Elvis and we're talking about Metallica, but also what made you, you know, like, you know, just want to play the, you know, the six strings, you know, because for me, I found that, you know, it was a bunch of different things, you know, that all kind of led up to one kind of eruption, and also, you know, a bit of time and place. But also, like for you, when did you have a guitar, you know, kind of first presented to you?
Yeah, so it was the first proper guitar was the beginner sort of, it was an Odessa. It looked like a Fender guitar.
Yeah, right.
That my dad bought me, and you know, he didn't know what he was doing, but he knew I loved guitar.
Yeah.
And it was getting into some of the heavy stuff because it's so guitar orientated.
So was that more of like an acoustic guitar?
No, it was an electric.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I had an acoustic before, but it was unplayable. It was like this big, and the strings were that high. You couldn't play it, but it was more like I wanted
like
to be
a slide
Elvis.
guitar,
Yeah. But yeah, that electric. I remember learning. So I never had guitar lessons, but I learned how to read tabs, which
That's
probably.
how I started. I found tabs a bit easier. It
Yeah.
took me one song to learn, to know how tabs were like, you know, 13 fret.
Yeah.
And I just went
That's the
from
cool
there.
thing about guitar, because you don't really need to learn how to read music like piano and things. I mean, you can pick up that as well, but with guitar, like you don't really need to know how to read music.
Yeah.
So tabs is like an easy way for people to learn.
Yeah.
Because it's all numbers, and you just follow the numbers. But I didn't even understand how tabs work. But then someone's telling me you just follow the numbers. Like, so if it goes 3, 5, 7, you just go. And then I learned things like pull-offs and hammer-ons. But I remember with that, I'm pretty sure I started in year 10. And because I was doing music,
Just 16.
yeah, I think I was 15 or 16, yeah, something like that. Yeah, and I remember in music class, I had a teacher that was really cool, but she played piano, and I remember learning most of the Black Album, including the solos on that $300 guitar that I got, and just by reading tabs. And I think it was my mum and family friends used to call me the hermit. So I wouldn't leave the house. Like when I was practicing, I was just so determined to learn these songs. So I would like practice for like 14 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the beginning. And at school, like I was always playing at like school assemblies and playing gospel music and things like that. So I learned how to play chords, and then I learned how to follow like chord structures, chord charts, playing a lot of like religious music, like gospel songs, and so I played at the school assemblies and things like that. Cool. So I learned how to play chords. So that developed that side of things, and then riffs, playing like Metallica, getting into Metallica, Megadeth. I learned how to play riffs. So I've got a good balance of music theory without
Yeah.
really knowing it.
So with a lot of practice, it must have paid off because later in life you started to join bands,
Yeah. So
like cover bands. So you started with a Red Hot Chili Pepper cover band. So how old were you?
it actually
then?
didn't start with. Oh yeah, actually, it's a weird story. I wasn't in bands yet. I finished high school, and I went straight to uni. And I was at Penrith UWS, and I got into music, but I failed all the music theory subjects.
Wow.
But I got high distinctions in performance.
Yeah, me
But-
too, man.
I was the opposite. I was good in theory
Yeah.
and sometimes in performances. I did bass in high school. So
Oh,
I was playing because I was kicked off a guitar because it's like great guitar players. I'll do bass.
Yeah.
Even though I was a guitar player myself, I did bass. For HSC, I did myself. But in theory, I used to listen to stuff really well. So theory is
Yeah.
really good, but performance, I just did performance because I had
Yeah,
to fill
yeah.
in.
Well,
Why do
Yeah.
you think that is? Why do you think that someone that can be, you know, quite a natural at performance could struggle with the theory? I'm sure there's lots of people out there now doing courses wondering, how do I make that transition? Like, I might be good at theory, but when it comes to live performance, where do I go?
Yeah.
What type of advice could you give them? Because that's the excitement. That's what rallies
Yeah.
people together and kind
Well,
of builds up a name.
I find people that know how to play well wish they learned how to read music because it's
Mm.
good to have.
Well, Paul McCartney couldn't read music, and look how he turned
Yeah,
out.
well, most of the great guitarists,
Exactly.
that's the thing with guitar. Like, you find a lot of guitarists actually don't or didn't know how to read music.
Mm.
You sort of develop theory.
Yeah.
It was a few years. It was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I took my first block of guitar lesson. I took 4 lessons from a guy called Chris Brooks. He's in Sydney. I would say this guy is like the best guitarist in Sydney. His technique and his just music theory and his technique is unbelievable. It's really, really good.
Is there anywhere we could hear Chris Brooks? Like, is
Yeah,
he
you
out
can
and
look him
about
up
these days?
on his on social media. I might give you
Yeah.
pass on the link. He's a really good guy to
Chris Brooks. you
look
heard him
up. Yeah,
first.
he actually changed my way of looking at the guitar, like theory wise. So I took 4 block lessons. He mainly teaches guys who know how to play but just want to progress or learn more about
So what is
Theory?
it that he taught you? Was it more of like going around like the cycle of fifths, or was it more of like
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
reading itself, or
No.
going through like through like the scales itself?
yes,
Like the,
yeah. So we focused on things that I was already doing, but I really didn't understand
Yeah.
that I was doing it.
Like such as?
So like,
riffs or-
for example, if I was improvising, I would use scales and I would naturally know that they're going to work, maybe because of feel and just, having an
Yeah,
ear for it. Or maybe just over the years developing, knowing what would work over like minor scales or major scales But so he gave me a good insight and showed me sort of better ways of playing scales that I wasn't playing before. I felt like I was a bit stuck with the same old
yeah.
tricks.
So he taught you, he brought you into the modes, I suppose.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So I took 4 lessons off him, and we mainly focused on, the theory that I was already channeling into my playing,
Yeah.
but I wasn't understanding what I was actually doing.
Yeah.
And he showed me different ways of playing, like the major scale, and things like that. And yeah, I started slowly trying to incorporate it into my live playing.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was a bit, I was trying things that I usually was out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because if I ever had a chance to improvise, I would naturally just want to solo or improvise in patterns and shapes that I was already comfortable with.
Yeah.
So that was like a huge, I felt so much more confident playing or improvising live than I did before. It wasn't as boxed. I could move more around the whole fretboard instead of staying in sort of one position and not progressing from there.
So
But
would it be fair to say you don't have like one particular style
no,
of music?
no.
You're quite adaptive.
no,
I mean, is this your guitar right here? From what I
Yeah.
can see, you've got the king
yeah,
of rock and roll. Some would
Yeah.
argue. I mean, yeah, he's done a bit of everything. Like,
yeah.
how has Elvis Presley inspired you in your music journey? Because that's
It's
someone we can all kind of
Just
relate with a
more
little
for
bit.
the culture behind how cool he was, and just
It's certainly
Just-
cool.
yeah. I got a new one coming out like exactly like this. The headstock is shaped slightly like the original
Yeah.
headstock that I wanted, that I own now, and they modeled it after that.
Like
and
an ESP style or like a...
Yeah, well, this is sort of like an original, like Jackson, Kramer guitars, and ESP. So this is based on the ESP lawsuit headstock, and then ESP had to change the cut to look like this because they were going to get sued by Jackson back in the days.
Yeah.
So every ESP that's shaped like this has the cutoff like that instead of like that. So my custom, because they were my like dream shaped guitars. I've always been into shred guitars. I wish I could play like Gibsons as good as some guys that are really good at playing, but it's too heavy for me. Like to play
I think Pierre, you're doing pretty good at.
Yeah.
So later in life, how you went to cover bands and all that. So
Yeah.
So from there, did you think you were like, you know what, this could be a really good lifestyle? You could really have. It's more than a hobby.
You know what?
Now?
I was like every other kid leaving high school, and all I wanted to do was be in a band and just play music. I love playing music. So I finished high school, went straight to uni. I was doing music there, and in the whole year we had, it was me and two other guys, 3 metalheads in the whole year. Everyone else was a classical musicians.
That's normal. Like, I went from high school like, like, oh, what are you playing all this old music for? I'm like, oh, just wait.
I remember doing music performances, and you know, you had violin players and classical piano players, and I remember this violin player performing just before my performance, and it was really, really nice. And then the 3 songs I chose to perform was a band called Death, and I played a song called Trapped in the Corner. And I think the lyrics, I think the first line is "I want to watch you die" or something. And then I played it. Hey,
not morbid at all.
No. And then I made up by playing like a Steve Vai song. I played For the Love of God. I can't remember what the last one was.
Well, I went to your uni, and what I found was interesting is like what you're talking about now, where you kind of have this, you know, influence of like jazz and classical musicians kind of come through the uni. And I kind of found myself in the same position where like you're like, who are the rock guys here? Like where is my place in this kind of, you know, in this kind of world? And
you know what's funny? It's so funny because you easily find each other on the first day.
Yeah.
It's usually the 3 guys that have long hair, and usually the guys that are.
I feel left out already.
It was so easy to find that. I think we found our group before there were any other pockets of groups in our year. It was which was good, and they got me into like, we all got each other into different things, but I started getting into like power metal bands, like Stradivarius, Hammerfall, Edguy, things like the European, really cheesy, high pitched, sort of like Iron Maiden on steroids. But after that, I remember being at uni and I was standing in line. I can't remember what I was standing in line for, to like the administration office. And I was with a mate of mine, and the line was massive. And I go to him, do you remember Drum Media magazines?
Yeah, like a while ago now.
Yeah. I remember man, wait in line, I'm going to go get a Drum Media magazine. And I went and picked it up. And I was looking through the Drum Media, and, you know, I was looking up, you know, musicians wanted, and, you know, bass players, guitarists. And I saw an ad saying Kirk Hammett wanted for a Metallica tribute band. I'm like, because I wasn't in the band yet. I'm like, I can do that. And then I remember calling the guy and saying, we're getting this Metallica tribute band together. Do you know the songs? Like, yeah, I know the songs. And he gave me like, I think 5 songs to learn. Which I already knew them. I knew most of the catalog.
That's a good step forward.
Yeah.
That's a good step forward.
But I remember like he wouldn't get back to me. We're getting together, and months went by, and I just kept on hounding him. I just wanted to play, you know, and that went on for a while, and then finally, I think he just got sick of me, and then he goes, "All right," he organized like an audition, and I came in, and I remember walking in, and the drummer was setting up, and he looked like a full-on bikie, man. I thought I was gonna get rolled. I walk in, he's setting up his drums. It was just me and him. And then the singer walked in. We had no bass player then. Or we weren't auditioning a bass player then. But so we played, I think 4 or 5 songs, and then he said, you got it, man. And then we had another rehearsal with a bass player, and so yeah, we were rehearsing for a while. We were just practicing all the old school Metallica songs, and then this guy I was playing with, he used to run tribute bands and cover bands, and he had a Red Hot Chili Peppers show, an established one, and another cover band, and but he was doing this Metallica thing, so we were focusing on rehearsing with that. And then I remember one day his guitarist, something happened with his guitarist quit or something like that. And then I think it was a Sunday night or Monday night, he goes, you got to learn the Chili Pepper set and the cover set, because they used to do a whole set of covers as a support thing, and then a whole, like a 90-minute tribute show, Chili Peppers. And the gig was at Scruffy Murphy's.
Scruffy's.
The
Scruffy's.
Yeah. And this was like 15 years ago, man, or 16 years ago. Scruffy's was like all night, man. Like they were crazy.
No lockout, yeah.
No lockout. It was just crazy.
It's different now.
Yeah.
Your favorite pop, I think.
Oh, it used to be my massive pop. I was there like before it shut down, and it came back now. But I was there like, it's a bistro upstairs now, but it's different now than you. And I was getting $10 jugs of snake bites, like a Irish pub now.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm just happy it's back. It's actually open now.
Oh, is it?
It's back. It's back to Scruffy,
Murphy's?
same place.
Oh wow.
Lockout laws have been lifted to
Yeah,
it.
so that's why the guy came back. He was, I want to reopen Scruffy's, and it's reopened now. So they do karaoke, affinity karaoke nights on Mondays as well.
No, wow.
So if you ever want to look at Scruffy's,
Go back there.
Had some wild times at Scruffy Murphy's. Yeah, so he calls me up and he goes, you got to learn all these songs. I've got no guitarist. My guitarist is gone. And I had 2 days to learn a 45-minute set of covers. I think it was like 12 or 13 songs, and a 90-minute set of Red Hot Chili Pepper songs. I had 2 days to learn, like, what's that, like an hour or 2 hours, over 2 hours.
They're not easy to learn as well.
And I was familiar with some of them, but getting the structures down and getting the tones and getting, like, just learning the riffs and the chord progressions. I remember having 2 days, and every morning he would call me up, wake me up, and say, "Get up, it's time to play." And like I'd be cramming all these songs, and then he'd pick me up on a Wednesday night, and we went down to Scruffy's and just played, a whole set of covers and a whole tribute show of Chili Peppers. I loved the Chili Peppers, but I wasn't familiar with all their stuff. Yeah. So that's how I got into playing in tribute bands. And then I started doing the Metallica show with him after that. So.
That's crazy, mate. That sounds insane. I mean, speaking of OOTD, Paul, I got a question for you, mate. That T-shirt there, I mean...
It's a bit offensive to some.
I mean,
might need a
something's interesting about that. Who is this man on your shirt? Dave Eastgate. Like, tell us a little bit about him. Is there any relationship?
Yeah, there's a big relation between Pierre and Dave Eastgate. So Dave Eastgate is an Australian musician, songwriter, actor. So he's been a home and away. He's been on X Factor. You know, the guy who interviews the people on the street, interviews the people
here and there.
Yeah, so it's something you'd probably be recognised with.
Okay.
Yeah, so
he's well known.
Oh, he is in the Australian industry. Yeah, very big, well known. Yeah.
He's done a lot of sketches with different people like Sting and.
Yeah, Sting. Yeah. He's been on a lot of TV shows in Netflix as well, and he's done his own thing. So what happens? He's put a karaoke band together at Frankie's Pizza by the Slice,
which he used.
He's still is. So the question is, how did Dave Eastgate find the talent? So you got Pierre, you got Blake on bass, and you got Andrew on the drums. Yeah. Because I've researched him that this band was before the current 3 members.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, how did he find these new 3?
So Dave and I met each other before we even knew we were going to play in the band together. And we met each other at a Metallica concert. I know, it's a funny story.
Just in the crowd backstage.
Well, Dave.
How does that happen?
So what happens? I think he thought it was Kurt Hammett. So Dave was like, "Oh, there's Kurt Hammett. Why is he in the crowd instead of on the?"
I'll tell you, man. We still laugh about it because a mate of mine, I went to the Metallica concert and we made our way to the front, and there was like a VIP section. Where the roadies and stuff were, and there was all these like sort of Australian celebrities and things like that. And Dave Eastgate was one of the guys in the VIP section. He was right near the guys, and I remember when the the guy I was with and myself were just going nuts throughout the whole headbanging and just, screaming the whole time. And Dave and I made a connection. We looked at it because I obviously knew out of all the guys in the VIP section, he was the only one that was like into Metallica, into metal, and he was just headbanging. He was wearing an old school metal shirt.
Did you still have the long curly hair back then, or?
Well,
I'm pretty sure I had long hair then too. But so we took a notice of each other, and there were moments where we got up to the fence and we were headbanging. I remember like Natalie and Brudia was there, and I remember saying nah. She turned around like smiling, thinking on a photo or something. I was like, move, like because she was in the way. Like every time Kirk came down to do a guitar swap or she was just in the way, and like she was just standing and just.
Mate, cheers to that. To tell Natalie and Brudia to step aside.
It was a moment, but so Dave and myself, we connected that night, and I remember Lars being nearby, and Dave heard this, and he finally like took a notice of me, and I said the dumbest thing I could ever have said, the most cheesiest thing, and it's one of those moments where like, wow, did I really say that? Okay, Lars, and he looked at me, and like. I paused, and I'm like, we're the Metallica tribute show, and I'm like, oh man. Then Dave and I still laugh at it. I can't believe I said that. But he had a really funny moment with Lars too, and he could probably tell you the embarrassing story that happened with him at an after party with Metallica. But so we met, and then I don't know how long after, like maybe 6 months or a year after, I went down to with a mate of mine, Andy, and who used to play bass in Dave's band, and I've played in bands with Andy for years. He's one of my best mates, and we went down to Frankie's one night. I can't remember who was playing, and he was there, and Andy introduced us, and as a story, we went down.
That was the fun house.
No, well, actually outside. We just went down
outside.
a bit,
and
we were just talking. It was Andy, Dave, and myself, and we're just talking about different things. And I had no idea about him needing a guitarist then, but then we're talking about different music and Metallica, and then we got onto the topic of that Metallica concert, and then he was telling his stories about that night when they came out last, and I was telling stories, and my mate Andy's in the middle, and he's sort of like following, and then I was telling him, and I saw this guy, and he was headbanging, we were headbanging. He's like, and there was these two crazy dudes that were going nuts. And as the story went on, we're like, it just reached a climax and my mate's like smiling. He's thinking, these guys do not get it. These guys are the guys who at the concert. And we're both talking. Yeah. I was talking about him, and he was talking about these two lunatics at the concert. Yeah. And then in the end, we paused. And at the same time, we go, "That was you." He's like, "That was you," and that was our real like first connection since that time when we really didn't know each other. So we were acquaintances then. Wow. And then it was, I think Frankie's wanted to do this hard rock karaoke night, and Dave had to put he didn't have a band at the time. He had Andrew, who was playing drums before for him, and I knew Andrew, and I remember I was going to Europe for I think a month.
Mate, you've been everywhere.
Yeah. I remember Andrew calling me up. It wasn't actually Dave. It was Andrew calling me up, and he goes, we're putting this hard rock heavy metal band together at Frankie's, and would you be interested in playing guitar, because we want to guys to play heavy metal and rock. I said, yeah, man, but I'm going to Europe in a week's time for 4 weeks. He goes, oh, cool, this thing starts in 6 weeks.
Oh, perfect.
Something
timing.
like that. And so that's how it happened. So when I got back from Europe, I hadn't played guitar in like five weeks. And we put a list of songs that we all knew that weren't like, Blink 182 and things like that. So just cool songs. Great
talent, just the talent in that band. Like you've got Blake on bass, you on guitar, and then you got Andrew on drums. Yeah, you guys can play anything. You guys, and you got Dave Eastgate.
Was that the original lineup as well?
No, so Dave had a band before.
Yeah, so he was
Um,
playing on TV shows. with-
No, but like as the first like Frankie.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
it. So it was a brand new lineup except for Dave and Andrew, the drummer.
Yeah.
So Blake and myself were like the additional guys,
Yeah.
and before like we started this thing at Frankie's.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Like,
yeah.
I've been to Frankie's myself. They do like a little karaoke kind of session.
Yeah, that's
here.
every
Yeah.
Do
Tuesday.
you
Yeah.
like
That's the
jam
big
with the
guy.
randoms that come
Yeah,
in
yeah.
and stuff
So,
like so you
yeah,
get behind
so
them,
the-
anyone
the-
can go to Frankie's and they might be jamming with you.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
for example, we had Rolf McManus on singing karaoke on a
McManus?
Tuesday a couple weeks
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Say hi to your
yeah.
mum
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. He totally rocked it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's been a few big names turn
Yeah,
up.
we
on
got to
karaoke.
play with like heaps of bands that
Wolf
rock.
Mother.
Yeah,
as
Wolf
well, the guy
Mother,
from
yeah.
Wolf Mother.
We played with Cheap Trick there. We got to play with Exodus.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just heaps of it. We played with Steel Panther.
June Rats, even people from June Rats came on the stage just to sing
Yeah.
with you guys. June Rats as well.
We've had heaps of
Yeah.
like we've had bands that I
Andrew
didn't even know.
Stockdale from Wolf Mother
Oh,
was there too.
nice.
There's a picture of you guys and Andrew Stockdale
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the steps inside the back room of Frankie's just
Yeah.
after a Tuesday night.
Yeah, so
Like,
from
there's
there
a
we
lot of
started.
celebrities
We
turning
started
up.
sort of Andrew, Blake and myself put another band together just to play some fun rock covers that weren't like hard rock or anything.
It was a Black Star.
Yeah, so we did
Yeah.
that for a bit.
That was
We did gigs here and there with that, but yeah, we backed up. We did a ABC show thing with Ella Hooper from Killing Heidi,
Oh,
and
wow.
we played what's that song? Can't remember.
You turn the app on if you want.
Yeah, it was a big hit, but that was for an ABC thing. So they picked us up from like Frankie's from seeing us play there, and yeah, we've done some cool shows with Dave, at the Factory Theatre and things like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pierre, mate, like as we come to a close, it's clear to me and clear to us that you've had a wealth of experience in the music industry, and I think you're only just getting started as well. Like when you look at your whole career so far, from being a 10th grader to now, and I mean we can ask a couple more questions, but I think this is a good closing question. What has been the highlight for your music career, and why? I know it's a big question, takes some time, but
Man,
What was
the
it?
highlight would be just love playing music and going to play gigs for a job, and play music with guys that I love seeing on a social level, but I get to play music with them and hang with them like all night and go away with them
Yeah.
and things like that. Like
Aaron and Pierre, can I just stop you there? And I just want to ask one more question as well.
Go for it.
Sorry, Pierre, but what would you tell the 15-year-old Pierre that wants to pick up guitar for the first time and play? What advice would you give him to kind of succeed nationally and internationally as a guitar player?
I would say just if you're inspired by music, just keep at it. Practice. I would say practice, get good enough.
hone on your craft.
Yeah, so if you want to make music a living, I would say don't focus on one style of music, or try to be as versatile as you can. Play different styles of music, because if you want to get work and to get gigs these days, it's really hard. And as much as you may have really, really good technique, you probably, if you're going to play covers and things like that, you're probably going to be boxed into playing certain covers that you're locked into playing, because venues don't want to hire bands that are playing Slayer and things like that. And if you're doing originals, I would just say write music that you're happy listening to, or you're happy playing. That whatever that is that you're into, just pursue that. But if you want to make music like a living, it's hard doing it with originals. But I wouldn't say that should stop you. But yeah, if you want to do it as a career and live off it, just try to be as versatile as you can. Otherwise, you're not gonna, if you have to wear a suit to do a wedding, then just depends how far you want to go. Because you may do a gig that you had to put a lot of effort in, but you'd never play those songs again. Like that happens all the time. I'd spend like a week learning a whole set of R&B songs that I've never played R&B songs before, but I'd spend a week learning these songs, and I'd play one wedding because I'm playing R&B songs, and then all of a sudden, like, you get another R&B song, R&B gig towards the end. I'm not an R&B player, but like if
you can do it.
But I can do enough to get it done. So, and I try to get the sounds right, the structures, and just learn different just to learn different styles. That
Yeah,
I used to only want to play, you know, the same old style, but I thought about it, and you don't get all the gigs. And if you want to expand and be like a session guy, or I don't know, I'm just freelancing now, and I've actually loved doing, because I was boxed into the same bands for 15 years,
Yeah.
Wow.
and I was just playing the same circuit, and every now and then there was a really, really cool thing that came up, but I was playing the same songs, and you want to expand. Sometimes you just want to play something a little bit different. So, you know, first time I had to learn Boyz II Men on guitar, I found that harder than playing like the rock songs, because it's so different.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I used to have the mentality when I was younger, like, oh, I would never play that. But you know what? I would play it, because it's actually really, really challenging, playing styles that you think are not, you know, technical or whatever, but they're actually quite challenging. So I would say try to be as versatile as you can if you wanna get gigs.
Well, Pierre, mate, I think it goes without saying, and unfortunately, I mean, we could talk about this all day. You're a very talented man. We heard you playing earlier from Hamish, Paul, myself, the West Underground audience, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on board.
Thanks,
For
man.
anyone that wants, you know, book you for future gigs and stuff, where can we find you on like Instagram?
Yeah, you find me on Instagram at Pierre Ishak 11, or email. I've got an email, met_show@hotmail.
Book
And,
this man, guys.
yeah.
Book this man,
If
mate. It's been a
If
If you
pleasure.
need someone to play, I'll
Yeah.
play.
Cheers,
Cheers, mate.
Pierre, for coming on.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Done at
boys.
the beginning.
Cheers.
So begin.
You.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, man.
Woo!
Give us a tune.
Makes everything
We
better.
played it.
I'll
Thanks.
boss-